My book slump is ruining my life. I typically read 4 books a month, and in the past 2 months, I've read 2 books. Because of this, I've been spending a lot more time on my phone. A lot more time. So yeah, it's ruining my life. Thankfully, I have a plan for times like this. First things first, acceptance. You have to accept that you're in a book slump and make a plan to get out of it. For me, that's removing comparison and removing the pressure to read. Comparison's only going to put me in a deeper mental pit than where I'm at right now. Then you have to unplug. I feel like a lot of the reason why I personally get into a book slump is because I just have so much information. It's like cognitive overload in my brain. I'm constantly consuming content, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, podcasts, YouTube, movies, TV. Even reading is just another thing for my brain to process and to work through. And I think that takes a lot of the relaxation away from reading because it's just another thing that I have to compute in my brain and imagine. For me, unplugging means consuming a lot less content and allowing myself to just sit in silence. Not literally sit in silence, but like just do things without music, without a podcast, without anything playing in the background, just existing. Giving my brain and my eyes just a break from everything. If I am going to consume content, I'm making sure that A, it's actually adding value to my life and not just distracting me, or B, it's for a short period of time. I set time restrictions on apps like Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and when I listen to podcasts, I try to make sure that they're educational. Even when I'm listening to music, I'm trying to listen less to music with words and more like classical music, folksy, bluegrass, like stuff like that, like as little input as possible. Once you've unplugged, you'll probably realize that you have a lot more time in the day than you thought. So what the heck do you do with all your time? Try something creative and new. Trying other creative outlets allows you to use your imagination in a new way outside of reading, and it also takes your mind off of your reading slump. You can do a puzzle, you can do a crossword, you can cook, bake, color, draw, paint, whatever crafty thing that is not using a screen. Use this time to connect with yourself. Sometimes I find that in getting caught up in the swing of my routine and just the busyness of life, and also just all of the media that we constantly consume, it's an extra effort. It takes extra effort to slow down and actually make sure I'm connecting with myself and like hanging out. Once you've given your brain a break and you're ready to read a book, I highly, highly, highly recommend trying a new genre. Either something completely new to you or something that you haven't read in a while, just to kind of switch it up a little and not associate the same, like, oh, I've read this a million times before, that you often feel when you're in a slump. I personally read a lot of romance and fantasy on my day to day, so when I'm in a slump, I try to read more science fiction and thriller. I have another video on my channel that goes through tips for people who are new to reading or have a hard time reading. And at the end of that video, there's also a ton of book recommendations by genre. So I'll link that in the description below so y'all can go take a look at that. And finally, if you did all the steps, you picked a book, and you still can't find the motivation to read it, try buddy reading. Buddy reading is when you read with a friend. It's kind of like having your own mini book club. Not only does buddy reading A, hold you accountable, but B, it also takes a lot of the pressure off of reading a book quickly because you're typically reading at a lot slower pace so that you and that other person can finish the book at the same time. I personally will set a page limit with my friends, so we'll read up to page 100, up to page 200 for the week, and at the end of the week, we'll chat about it. I will also send texts throughout the week and be like, let me know when you get to page 67, so that we can chat about anything that was like super interesting or like a big plot point in the book as well. And it's more exciting that way because then not only am I excited to read the book and see what happens next, but I'm also excited to see what my friend thinks about it, and that makes it a lot more enjoyable of a reading experience, for me at least. And those are all the tips I have for y'all. Let me know if you guys use any of these, if you have any other tips that you would recommend, and what your current read is. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.